My name is William Hartnell, and as Doctor Who, I make my debut on Saturday the 23rd of November at 5:15. The Doctor is an extraordinary old man from another world who owns a time and space machine. And he and his granddaughter, Susan, played by Carol Ann Ford, have landed in England and are enjoying their stay until Susan arouses the curiosity of two of her school teachers, played by William Russell and Jacqueline Hill. They follow Susan and get inside the ship, and Doctor Who wants to leave Earth, starting a series of adventures that I know will thrill and excite you every week.
Yes. I wonder where they are now. The past or the future. That was the last I ever saw of the strange travellers. I recall a discussion many years ago at the way station of Lop. Miss Wright was convinced I would see Venice again. Now, how could she have known that her prediction was to come true? 3 years after my journey with the old doctor and his companions, I left Cathay for the last time and finally returned home to my beloved Venice in 1295. Now, in the year of our good Lord 1324, at 70 years old, my travelling days are finally over. For many years now, I have been ridiculed for my stories and subjected to endless questioning. I'm tired of it. This will be my final journal entry. Like the many skeptics I've encountered over the years, I too now find it hard to believe the many wonders I beheld during my travels. Flying caravans, travellers who journey from today into tomorrow. If only they knew. I didn't tell half of what I saw, because no one would have believed me.
Tlaloc, the sun god, instructs that I, Clotopsil, high priest of sacrifice, shall impart to the true servants of your taxa the sacred and honoured skill of preparing cocoa. Is that not so, Cornelia?
Yes, the god Quetzalcoatl came unto us from paradise upon the morning star, bringing with him the bitter water of Theobroma. Only those with the wisdom to drink it shall be granted the wisdom it imparts.
How then shall a novice begin to drink from the cocoa bean?
The beans must be taken and placed with ground sugar cane in a container of rainwater.
Let us praise Tlaloc for granting us the gift of rain.
And then it is left in the shade of a dwelling for 7 days and 7 nights.
To what end does the high priest of knowledge make this recommendation?
In order that the sublime and blessed oils and bitters and sweetnesses of the beans ferment. Once this has happened, the beans must be laid under the gaze of the sun god for no fewer than 7 days to drive away the water.
As Tlaloc drove away he who has fallen.
The beans must then be placed on a blade and held over a flame until the husks become blackened and quickly ground to a fine powder between flat rocks.
What then becomes of the powder, Tanila? Tell, so all may share in the wisdom and goodness imbued by the true spirit of Yataxa.
The powder is mixed with more rainwater and crushed beetles.
The red of the creature makes cocoa to the eye as blood.
And thickened with crushed corn, vanilla and chilies of the severest heat.
That is indeed a drink, Tonilla, to usher in manhood, bind the spirits of lovers, and nourish those most honoured as perfect sacrifice to our gods. Let us make to our temple and prepare a draught in honour of our vanquishing of the false Yetaxa. Tlamoc be praised.
So be it. Does this mean we are now to be married?
No.
Ah, here you are. I'm glad you dropped by. Although, you know, I haven't talked about any of this for quite some time. People look at you, and you can tell what they're thinking. We soon learned to keep quiet, to keep it to ourselves. And by we, I mean Barbara and me. We both taught at the same school. When we did tell people, some of them really did understand. Yes, I feel I can tell you. The doctor. He was old when I was young. Somehow I still feel he's up there in his lunatic ship, righting wrongs, still specializing in trouble. He dives in and usually finds a way out. He showed me so many things, so many. From the talking stones of Tyron to the witch trials of Salem. Oh yes, we often got stuck in the past, caught up in history as the old boy tried to find our way home. It amuses me to have this in the house. I was never really one for souvenirs and acquired it long after the event. But every time I notice it, I'm reminded that if I wanted half the world to think I was mad, I could call myself Sir Ian Chesterton, knighted by Richard the Lionheart himself over 700 years ago. It sounds ridiculous. Fantastic. Well, it was a fantastic adventure. One of many. One of many. Let me tell you about it. King Richard was a stubborn man, but it wasn't just pride with him. He was clever. He knew when he was being manipulated. The doctor and de Tournebou convinced him that he could save face by trading with Saladin. And with that thought in mind, he introduced us to his sister, the Princess Joanna. I remember she showed a particular interest in Vicky, who we were trying to pass off as the doctor's ward. Vicky called herself Victor. Later, after a most impressive meal, Vicky insisted that I dress up, and at the king's request. Obviously, I felt ridiculous. But it turned out that King Richard was desperate to make peace with Saladin and planned to offer his sister Joanna in marriage to Saladin's brother, Saphadin. I wondered why he was telling me this, and then it all made sense. The king's emissary had to be suitably attired, and I was to be the one who delivered the message. That's when I became Sir Ian, Knight of Jaffa. The journey to Ramla wasn't long, and I finally met with Sir William de Preaux. It was he who told me that Barbara had been kidnapped by El Akir. You might think that Barbara was in an impossible situation. But while El Akir praised his guards, she managed to escape and hid in the palace harem. I had a more serious problem. Thinking I was a rich merchant, my Arab captor, Ibrahim, had pegged me out on the sand, hoping to find out where I'd hidden my gold. By way of persuasion, he poured honey onto my chest and wrists and made a trail to a nearby ant's nest. I told him my gold was in my boots, so he had to untie my legs. That's when I surprised him and forced him to be my escort to Lydda, where Barbara was being held prisoner. Elakir did discover Barbara in the harem, but he was killed by the father of one of his wives. With Abraham's help, we stole some horses and made our escape. In all our adventures, the TARDIS was home. That's where we aimed for. When we arrived, we found the Doctor in a bit of trouble of his own. The Earl of Leicester was convinced he was a spy and had followed him from Jaffa. He was on the point of dispatching him, but I begged permission to do the deed myself, claiming he had caused the deaths of my brothers in arms. He agreed, and as he turned away, we slipped into the TARDIS. We laughed about it afterwards as the Doctor operated the controls, and I sat back in his favourite armchair, on course for another adventure. But that is another story.
My name is William Hartnell, and as Doctor Who, I make my debut on Saturday the 23rd of November at 5:15. The Doctor is an extraordinary old man from another world who owns a time and space machine. And he and his granddaughter, Susan, have landed in England and are enjoying their stay. Until Susan arouses the curiosity of two of her school teachers, they follow Susan and get inside the ship, and Doctor Who wants to leave Earth, starting a series of adventures that I know will thrill and excite you every week.
Wherever was that place?
Oh, no idea. I'm glad we got away.
What were they doing?
Your guess is as good as mine. Let's hope we never land there again.
Here we are.
What's this?
Well, we so rarely get a chance to celebrate, but this time we must.
Celebrate?
Yes. It's Christmas. Don't you remember the police station, Christmas?
So it was, yes.
Here's a toast. A happy Christmas to all of us.
Same to you, Doctor.
Sir, incidentally, a happy Christmas to all of you at home.